If I told you you could travel for up to 30 days with just carry-on luggage, would you believe me? I don't believe myself. So our next guest says not only is it possible, but it's actually how she prefers to do it. Travel journalist Oneika Raymond has trotted the globe with a single tote in tow, and she joins us this morning to share her tips on how to turn into, ready for this, a one-bag wonder. Good morning, Oneika.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm good. I love this so much. I don't prescribe to the idea whatsoever, but I do love the idea of it.
It is totally possible. It just requires thinking a little bit outside of the box and restricting your items to only one bag.
The very, very small box being
the
your
very,
luggage.
very small box, most definitely, yeah.
So what would you say are some of the perks of carry-on only?
I love carrying on only because not only does it weigh less,
right.
I can save money because a lot of airlines, unfortunately, charge for checked baggage.
And it's not cheap. It's
and
25 bucks or more.
At all. It's almost like another airline ticket, to be quite honest with you. And you know what? There's no greater feeling than being able to walk off the flight with your bag and not have to wait.
Okay. Do you think men and women can do this? Because our Ben is skeptical. He says that men's clothing is bigger, their shoes are bigger, takes up more space. Can he do this too?
Of course he can. Of course he can. My tips are equal opportunity. They are for everyone. So you know what? Let me show you something, Ben. I will prove it to you that it's possible.
You just call it like it is, Oneika. I love that. Okay, so you say to pack for 7 days and 7 days only, even if you are traveling for much longer.
Most definitely. So, you know, guess what? Our mothers tell us many things when we are young. And one of the things that my mom always told me is that you can't wear clothes over twice without washing. But here's a little secret. Yes, you can.
Yes, you can.
It's totally possible. So we can rewear items of our clothing. And furthermore, if you have a laundromat where you live in your home, chances are wherever you're going will have one also. In many different parts of Asia, for example, you can do your laundry, you can drop it off, have it washed, dried, and pressed, ready for you, and not for a lot of money either.
That's amazing. And not something that people consider, but it's kind of one of those duh tips, like the laundromat, of course.
Absolutely. So you can only pack for a week's worth of clothing, and then you can wash as necessary and rewear as necessary, depending on where your destination is, of course.
For sure. I love this next one. It's something I'd never considered. We think of color schemes when we're designing rooms, but not necessarily designing our suitcases. But you say that's what we should be doing.
Sure. So I traveled literally around the world last summer. I traveled for 25 days to 8 different countries on 4 different continents. And in order to travel with only a carry-on bag, I traveled with just a little teeny-weeny carry-on, I made sure that I packed color schemes. So if you take a look at my photos, you'll notice that I packed a color scheme of yellow, orange, and green.
Okay.
And I'll tell you why I chose those colors specifically. Not only do they pop, so I have lovely photos, but also they are complementary colors. So I'm no artist, but if you take a look at a color wheel, you will notice that yellow, orange, and green are all complementary shades, which means that they match with each other. And essentially, packing in this way allowed me to mix and match my clothing. So no matter what I brought, I knew that everything would match regardless. So if I only brought, say, 4 items of clothing, I knew that I would have a good 6 or 7 outfits that I could get from those 4 items.
And with these items, you include multi-purpose things like scarves.
I do, most definitely. So one of the things that I attempt to do to reduce the number of items that I bring in my luggage is I bring things like scarves. They're an exceptional accessory.
Ooh, I love the one on the left.
And you can use them for multiple purposes. So as you can see in this photo here, I was in Toronto on this particular trip. I believe it was on a Tuesday, and I wore that scarf as a head wrap.
Yeah.
Very cute, very chic. And then the following Saturday, I found myself in Chamonix, France, and I wore it as a scarf.
Very cool.
Yes.
Very cool. This next one, shoes. It's a tricky one. How do you deal with shoes?
So shoes are tricky because they are heavy.
Yes.
But what I do is, no matter where I'm traveling to, I restrict myself to 3 to 4 pairs of shoes only.
Okay.
So this is where you kind of have to make a little bit of an executive decision.
Yeah.
But typically, I bring 1 pair of flip-flops, which are great for walking around my hotel room or going to the beach. And they're essentially waterproof, you know, quick dry. I bring 1 kind of fancy-ish shoe. So in the summertime, that would be like an embellished flat sandal. In the wintertime, it would be a boot that's cute but comfortable.
Right.
And then for my 3rd pair of shoes, I bring an athletic pair of shoes. So again, I can walk around. There's no excuse not to exercise.
Right.
But at the same time, you know, I can hike, I can run, I can do all the things that I need to do and be comfortable doing it.
And one of those you're wearing on the plane, I imagine?
And exactly, and one of them I am wearing. So oftentimes I only have an additional 2 pairs of shoes in my luggage.
Okay. This next one's so hard for us in this social media age, but you say to downsize our electronics.
Yes, indeed. But you know what? It doesn't have to be that difficult. Now, really think about it. Phones are of such good quality these days.
It's a whole computer and a camera, right?
Exactly. So really think about whether or not you need to bring that heavy laptop on your trip. Think about whether you need to bring that heavy DSLR camera, because guess what? Our smartphones these days are so good that, you know, looking at a photo, you can't tell whether or not it came from a fancy camera or whether it came from your handheld, whatever brand you own, your Android or your iPhone or whatever that is. So,
Oneika, these are such good tips. One last one. We're out of time, but one last one is to ditch the toiletries, and I'm assuming it's because hotels have a lot.
Hotels have a lot, so keep the faith in your hotel room because usually they will yield a lot of toiletry goodies. But also think about doubling up. So if you must bring body wash or something like that, it can usually double as a shampoo or vice versa. If you bring a shampoo, it can double as a body wash.
Okay. All right, I'm up for the challenge, girl. I'm doing it next time. One bag wonder.
Awesome. Fabulous.